Originally, The Serpent aired on BBC One in the UK at the beginning of 2021, but now Netflix has bought the distribution rights for it to be under their banner in the US and several other countries. It's a murder mystery that spans the globe and the years, but is it worthy of your time? Before I get into the review, I want to say thank you to Acorn TV for sponsoring this video. Acorn TV is a streaming service that successfully curates and distributes best-selling dramas, mysteries, and other genres from around the world with a special focus on British television. Along with an extraordinary catalog of popular drama, Acorn also has a wide range of brand new and exclusive shows that have been commissioned and co-produced in the UK, Ireland, Australia, and New Zealand. If you're familiar at all with my channel, you know I love British crime dramas, and Acorn TV is satisfying that craving quite well. I've just signed up for a year's membership, and I am looking forward to binging some of the series like Bloodlands, a brand new crime drama with James Nesbitt that's certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm also looking forward to Agatha Raisin, simply because I think that title is funny, and it also stars the brilliant Ashley Jensen from Extras, Ugly Betty, and Catastrophe. Plus there's Manhunt and The Nest. There are also some classic popular shows that I can't wait to explore, like Doc Martin and Detectorists. Plus there's a new season of Midsummer Murders coming to Acorn TV in April. But their selection isn't limited to crime dramas either. There are documentaries, comedies, period pieces, and a lot more. Want to try out Acorn TV and see what it's all about? Click on the link in the description and be sure to use the promo code MoviesandMunchies30 to receive a 30-day free trial instead of the typical 7 days. That will be enough to get you hooked on all of the great programming. Thanks again to Acorn TV, and don't forget to use the promo code MoviesandMunchies30. The Serpent Limited series is the twisting real-life story of Charles Sobraj, a murderer, thief, and seductive master of disguise who was a hidden darkness in the mid-70s on Asia's hippie trail. Tahar Rahim plays the title character, and he is phenomenal in this role. He's playing a very cruel and cunning villain, but he's not this overtly large monster. He's charismatic and charming. He's earning the trust of his marks with incredible ease. He goes by several names as part of the plot, but for the majority of the series, he's referred to as Alan. I'm so impressed with his performance too. He's full of hubris, yet is reserved enough to be in the background. The way he uses words to manipulate is genuinely scary. Jenna Coleman stars as Monique, who is involved with Alan. She plays the character with just this naivete, but that doesn't last for long. She convincingly shows us a woman who is torn in her emotions. She's enamored with Alan, but also not fully at ease with everything that's going on. The other main player in this is Herman Knippenberg, played by Billy Howle. He works at the Dutch embassy in Bangkok and comes into the story when two Dutch nationals on vacation in Thailand go missing. I loved and hated this character. I mean, sometimes he's stammering and bumbling. He's just very unsure of himself and can't get out what he wants to say. Other times he's very decisive and commanding, and there are still more times where he just explodes on people because he's so wrapped up in the case and so emotionally invested that it's actually pretty unhealthy. Like I said, the majority of this story takes place in the mid-70s. The aesthetics of the production are just outstanding. Everything from the costumes to the music to even the film quality looked like it came from that era. And a lot of the scenes would be in a square 1-to-1 ratio, almost like we were looking at like some old slide projector or vintage news footage. It was grainy and soft focused. And then the ratio would expand to a widescreen, and as it did that, the focus would gently become sharp and the grain would reduce. And I loved that effect, and they used it consistently through the show to add just a continuity and a cohesive feel. The story is being told in alternating timelines. We're seeing kind of a present day, at least for that time period, and then it would go to a flashback scene. In the bottom left corner, we'd see a graphic that would give us a date and a location reference. Sometimes it would state an actual date, and typically that was during the establishing scene. And then the flashback would say something like, 3 months earlier. And this is easy to follow, but then it would shift back and forth between present and past, but also midway between the first flashback and the present. So at times it could get a little confusing as to when the action was going on. I do think, however, they did a pretty good job of nailing down the times, and as long as you didn't miss that notifier, you should be in good shape. So this is based on true events, with the production stating that some names had been changed, but I also like that it stated that all conversations are imagined. They're acknowledging that they really have zero clue as to what was said as the events unfolded. But because they know the facts of the case, the story writers can build a compelling narrative around those facts. The setup for the story is a good one and really kind of terrifying to see how easy it was for Alan to perpetrate his crimes. I'm not sure he would have had any luck doing what he did in today's world though, because much of his scheme relied on the lack of shareable information and the low tech of the times. But just because it probably couldn't happen now in the same way, it's still a very engaging idea and it's pretty disturbing too. There is an unease and tension that grows throughout the episodes. It's not fast or large. The growth is subtle, but it is consistent. And I found my heart racing at times because the anxiety had crept up on me without realizing it until I was in the middle of something just crazy tense. There are 8 episodes in this, with each right under an hour. It's definitely a time commitment to binge this, and honestly, it did drag in certain portions. There were several moments throughout where I was just feeling the time. I think some of that could be because as the show is doing flashbacks, several times the same scenarios are revisited. And they're designed to show us some information in a new light or a new context, but because we've already seen them, I think it would have been more effective to show us a portion of that and then lead us to the new part where it gives us the new context. The repetition certainly contributed to making it feel longer than it should have been. And while I'd said the tension steadily grew, the pace of the show did ebb and flow. It never felt rushed, but it did drag at times. During this, I was so frustrated by conversations and actions from the characters. There were potentially dangerous situations, and sometimes people would just make dumb choices. And this helped to rack up the anxiety level, but also made me talk to the TV because the characters were not using common sense. And when those scenes happened, I knew I was fully invested because why else am I going to yell at the TV? In addition to the 3 leads I mentioned at the beginning, there are several supporting characters that are wonderful. They each bring new dimensions to the story and they really help to build out the narrative in a convincing way. We get people who feel real. I mean, they give some very convincing performances when it comes to their emotions, whether that's joy, elation, sickness, or even terror. The locations are beautiful in this too. We get to see Bangkok, Nepal, Paris, and then several other places as our characters travel the globe. So despite it being a little long and making me feel the time, I was engrossed in the story and I really wanted to see how it all played out. There was enough suspense and urgency to keep me invested and disturbed. And because the story takes place in the 70s, I got to learn a new term for hippies, work-shy hobos. I mean, I know that has nothing to do with anything, but it made me laugh, and when I heard it, I figured I'd just share with you. There is sex, nudity, a lot of profanity, and some brutal violence. I give The Serpent 4 out of 5 couches. So have you heard of this case? Are you looking forward to checking it out? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.